the match.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I think it's gonna be interesting to see if we see one of the longer picks, just given that like a lot of these other picks that they're banning are like on the longer side. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how both of these players' consistency goes. And I guess it's like you said, I mean, we're getting into a stage where these picks are a lot harder to kind of keep up with, and consistency might just be extremely important.
Yeah, and as we could see, it does seem like Tech 1 does get the first pick, so definitely a very interesting pick to start off with. I mean, this is definitely the type of map that is like insanely abstract with how it manages patterns, as you would know from a good plethora of Imperial's maps in general. But seeing as it's the first pick in the match it's intriguing, so to say.
I mean, I could kind of get wanting to pick this just to kind of get it over with, or I guess in this case, it could be like one of those picks that you're really comfortable with because, I mean, especially with like charters like Imperial, they chart in such a like a diverse way that's like very specific and very abstract, which you normally don't see. But it can favor certain players so much, and especially if you're able to like deal with like these tech files, whether it be Rice, Hybrid, or in this case, LN, it gives you a huge step up if you're comfortable with these type of files in specific.
Yeah, exactly. It gives that really important characteristic that some of these maps basically just need in terms of being able to distinguish themselves. And especially it opens up for a lot of mind games in the tournament sense, as well. As we can see, both these players are still basically off to a good start. Spaniard Dude gets a bit of the better end of the stick ahead of Plana, but at the same time, not entirely safe just yet. It's really just down to some of these really odd rhythms and releases that seems to throw a Spaniard Dude off the virtue of the one great going into it as we go into this chorus-oriented section.
Yeah, especially with this section being like very finger control heavy with like these like mini inverse sections and then a lot of these like embedded jacks within, it adds like that sense of coordination that we're gonna be missing just a little bit due to these like coordination picks. But this one being like as heavy as it is can easily cause just a miss or a few 200s like we've been seeing throughout, especially within this section, which just gets a lot more speedier compared to like the first half.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the first initial section down. You still have the back of the chart left to go as both players still make their way through it, but at the same time, it's looking really dire for both players. There's not really any objective lead or advantage to be seen, as I feel afraid my Discord might crash, but maybe it'll be fine later. Oh my god.
Holy, that miss was nasty. I mean, especially in a section like this one, which just gets progressively faster, you don't want to see that, and it's really coming back to bite him.
Yeah, that one miss from Spaniard is really incredibly fatal. That's going to put in that really big advantage that Plana needs for the first pick, and that's gonna be a bit of a bad situation for Ting, because they're gonna need a very good first point to be able to solidify their status in this semifinals, because this is literally his life in a tournament on the brim of just being eradicated off of just a few maps alone. As the ending goes out, there's not much difficulty of the map remaining unless Plana takes a bit of an intrusive mistake on this section, but I don't know. I kind of doubt that it's gonna happen right here.
Yeah, that miss on both sides being so fatal. I mean, on one point, you have Plano, who probably thinks, well, I probably lost this point because I missed. But then you have on the other side, Spaniard Dude, who just got so many of those misses on a bit of a speedier section. And to me, it kind of points out that Plana has a bit of a stronger consistency overall. You you would tend to see a lot more kind of just like lower judgments on the side of Spaniard Dude kind of come in like rapidly, while Plana kind of stays consistent. I mean, they stayed rather consistent within like that 99.7 range, and then it was only one they missed that they really dropped.
Yeah, exactly. I feel consistency is one of the most important aspects to take into consideration when it comes to maps like this, just because of the fact that this map really tackles your ability for how you can act a lot of these really weird patterns that you just don't see in most conventional maps, so to say. And especially with the tech maps of all things, they really allow for these maps to only just get a lot harder, and just all the more scarier to go through. But now Plana going off that break point, it's really just down to them to make the next move on the board here, because majority of the options are open for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a good, strong first, I guess, round for Plana. Although they're definitely gonna have to keep that momentum up. And honestly, I don't really know what to go for. I feel like if they want to go for something of similar route, maybe Beast.
I mean, Beast would be interesting to see, but turns out it's going to be Wildcard 4 instead.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of an interesting pick, but I guess it could work out. I think maybe we might see Beast be picked by Spaniard Dude, maybe hoping to recover what they could have gotten within Tech 1.
Yeah. So this map is little interesting, in my opinion. It's basically Korjak, LN, and Density, judging by what I can see in the staff server. Because, okay, I'll be honest, I haven't really seen majority of the maps, but who knows? It should be good to see all of them or sight read for them just to get an idea for how each of the maps kind of just grind your gears. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it looks like we'll be going into this pick. And I don't know how this one goes. I feel like depending on who wins this one, the winner might want to opt in to stay within the density section of the pool, maybe.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the density maps are definitely a field that I've seen a lot of players kind of resort to when it comes to safer maps. But at the same time, the density maps kind of just get scared the more that you kind of you're dealt some longer maps in that field, especially. So it really tackles your taste for consistency in a way, and we can definitely see this with maps like this where we did see from Tech 1 that it did really take a toll on the accuracy and the consistency when it comes to more technical patterns. But density maps are usually just about formulaic in the terms of playing just L and jump string for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the mix of like you said, these Korjak Ellen patterns, which trip line up. I was gonna say something, but I guess we'll see that miss instead.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit of a dangerous miss coming out from Fauna here. It's still only past the first quarter of the map, but there is no saying that maybe Ting's probably gonna be able to FC this and just run away with it. But as I say that,
Nice
Ting
curse.
does take another miss, or at least the first one. That is both combos on each side reset, as Plana does get the combo advantage, but it's really just the score difference that sets the two apart as Ting reaches above the combo cap.
I don't know. I mean, okay, I was gonna say there's still time for it to switch the other way, but Plana's gonna miss and a bit of an unfortunate spot as the file starts to cool down just a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like both these players aren't really too comfortable when it comes to at least trying to ensure they can get the combo advantage in their side, because it does seem like Ting is able to run away with it. It's really just can he keep it up for much longer, because this map still incorporates a bunch of these patterns, especially this triplet oriented section where we see some of these technical bursts, short lens, and also some of these bursts as well that are a little more rhythmic, and they definitely stray from the general concept of the rest of the map, as Plana takes another miss on it, not seeming too comfortable with these kind of patterns either.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, and I feel like this could have easily been prevented if they didn't sight read it, which, I mean, I guess for some players they want to avoid mind block, but I think especially as we get into these harder picks, you definitely need to look into what you're playing. And I would say especially with LN, as these LN picks just in general come with a lot of surprises, and it's not really a rice pick where you could kind of just go in, and even at some points you really can't go in, and it's really just playing to the detriment of both of these players really.
Yeah, exactly, and we can definitely see that as both these players do manage to at least go for the map, despite the amount of patterns that it throws at them that are really different. It's basically just jumping between tech, and then you have the instances of density, and with some shields incorporated for the additional source as well. As we do have Flowerful shivering their timbers, because both these players are going to have to do their best to make it out of this round if they want to be able to face off against them in the conditionals, because that is their requirement essentially, as Ting is going to be taking this map. But the miss right there is potentially too clean to be able to call it.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like the misses from Plano's side, there just wasn't like that much that could have been done. Even like with a better ratio, it's just those dirty drops that really came back to bite them, which I mean, it makes sense. We all know how detrimental these misses are. It's just unfortunate, but both these players are going to take a back-to-back break point.
Exactly, and we do definitely see that this already sets up for an interesting scenario in this match alone. We do see that Plana has the advantage of ratio by nearly a whole 100 perfects, but it's really just Ting in with the advantage of the misjudgments and that lack that really sets him further from the equation here.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I guess from the last one, maybe we could assume Ting has a bit of an advantage in the ratio in terms of like these like techier picks. And maybe on like the more simpler picks, Plana wants to go in for those ones given that they seem to have like a bit of a better ratio. I think it's just going to kind of depend how both of these players really do, honestly. And especially that consistency factor.
I do definitely feel that is going to be something that does get quite the beating when it comes to Density 2 here, which is going to be Dream and Attractions. So, interested to see this map being thrown out here, considering that I remember playing this in my Squid Game qualifiers, and like, bro, the map itself is just hell to play, like, in a regular setting. Like, how do you even play this map, man?
This is... I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted because I feel like it kind of goes back to what I was saying, where Plano might want to stay within like the more like simpler density focused picks, and Tango might want to stay within like the techier sections, like something like Tech 3. But
Yeah.
I guess it's gonna flip the role.
Yeah, exactly. It does seem like a bit of an interesting move from the side of Ting, because I definitely feel that, like, if you're gonna have to, like, use some options that are on the board, then I would probably expect Density 2 to be thrown out, like, in the case of an emergency, like, if you need to try and get a point. But it being thrown out earlier, like, it definitely sets the standard that a lot of these maps that you would usually expect to be thrown out in the late game of the match itself, it gets thrown out a lot earlier, because this is essentially the options that each of these players have, and they have to make usage of them one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll see how this one goes. I mean, I guess it could really go either way, considering how the last pick went. Although, I guess this one being more density focused might help Plana a little bit, but we'll have to see. I mean, especially with this like little start that we have here.
Yeah, exactly. This map capitalizes a lot on some of these more irregular density patterns, especially with some of the more technical bursts that you get from this section, where it incorporates a bunch of samples in between, and you definitely get some influences of dubcore thrown in here and there with some of these flams and graces that are embedded within the elements as well. But we see Ting basically getting a bit of a small bias here, although Plana's still doing really well, being able to ensure that Ting doesn't have the advantage by that much in terms of score.
Yeah, especially as we're starting to get into this more intense section, the main course, we start to see the scores dwindle down just a little bit, although it's too close to really say that anyone has the advantage, especially as we just keep going on, and this song just keeps going on and on.
Exactly. I mean, this is exactly what you kind of expect from Chrysaline's maps, especially in the density arena, where you just get a lot of these maps and patterns that are just a lot more kind of obscure when it comes to most density maps. But the first bleeding comes out from Ting, as that's going to bring out the 3,000 score lead, pushing 5,000 about just here on Plana's side. So that's going to be a really bad signal for them if it does continue this chain of breakpoints that we have been seeing for the previous two picks here.
Yeah, gonna give a huge advantage to Plana, at least for right now. And I think this might go back to what I was saying, how Plana might just be a little bit more consistent overall, and Ting just having those like dirty act drops every so often, like right there.
Oh, and that's another one. That's double bleeding to stem from the side of Ting, basically performing CPR on those wounds. That's going to bring that lead over to Plana and objectifies it that to a point where it's basically just not even recoverable going into this ending here. As unfortunate as it stands, it is 2-1 in favor of Plana.
Yeah, this kind of going back to what I was saying, where I feel like the density section might be more in favor of Plan. I mean, you see it right here. Two less perfects and about 15, about actually, I think it's like about 16, 17 less
Ooh.
perfects.
Yeah, it is. It's basically just 17 less perfects. It's
Yeah,
just the misjudgments that set the two apart. Just Plana's
absolutely.
consistency when it comes to some of these more technical density maps that really sets the two apart. But we do see tonight's is being thrown out here in response. Plana trying to see if they can break the chain of these breakpoints as well, because this is going to have to be one of the most important points for both these players here. They want to be able to try and break this tie. But for Ting, they want to be able to keep the tie so that they can break it right after. So it's either we do see another breakpoint from the side of Ting carrying on that chain, or we're going to see Plana break the chain while it's here.
Yeah, going into our inverse pick, I feel like this is the pick that Plana wants to go to. I mean, I feel like the one concern we might have is just that I guess for a density pick, this could be a little bit more technical in a way, just because you have to focus a little bit on those releases and immediately going back into another Ellen. But I mean, some players are really good with inverse. I mean, some players like myself have even focused on learning Ellen through inverse. So potentially it could go either way.
Yeah, and full inverse is definitely something that you don't normally see every day when it comes to the grand scheme of things within tournaments itself, or at least like, nowadays, now that we actually have mappers that kind of just push the envelope of what Ellen maps can be capable of. And we can see it here with some of these jump streams, basically what you would expect from regular jump stream maps, just full LN. That's the only difference.
Yeah, and honestly, I expect the accuracies on this file specifically to be a bit higher than most of the other ones, just because, I mean, with inverse, you still have like that release aspect, but I feel like it's a little bit more forgiving just because you're playing full LN. And at least for me, I feel like it's a lot easier to act full inverse maps compared to like regular density files.
Yeah, exactly. But the first miss comes out from Ting once again. That's going to bring the lead over to the side of Plana by bringing it to about nearly 5,000 points again. Same story as we've seen in the previous map. So this definitely opens up the opportunity for Plana to be able to take the breakpoint off this map. But at the same time, this is honestly arguably a lot more tense than Dreaming Attraction, just because, yes, you have more conventional jump stream patterns. So you don't really need to worry about, like, missing on some of the more broken patterns. It's really just the release aspect that becomes a lot more maximalized within this chart alone that probably puts the nerve into play here.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I also think the hold strain that's included within like inverse files makes this a lot more stamina intensive than something like maybe Dreaming Attraction potentially for at least either of these players, honestly.
Yeah, indeed. And especially with this map being maybe a little, basically just being around the length of Dream and Attraction as well. We go back into the full LN jump stream, as we can see. This is pretty much what you'd expect from these types of maps, where you just have like a lot of these really dense jump streams that just go on and on until literally the final quarter of the map. But it doesn't seem like Plana is phasing, or at least phase over these patterns alone. Being able to make their way through it is really just that combo on their side. That's actually looking to be pretty crazy going into this round. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those picks that I expect at least one player to be just so strong compared to like a lot of these other picks. I mean, inverse isn't a conventional skill set, but there are players who focus very hard on it, which explains why we are seeing this incredible accuracy, even especially at the very end where Plana is going to most likely take this point.
Yeah, indeed. As the final 1-6 Rice Burst comes out, that is gonna be it. That is 995k from Plana and only 2 grades. What are you doing?
What do you mean? That's a greater than 10-to-1 ratio.
Wow. Okay.
What do you mean?
Semifinals, by the way. Oh yeah, unrelated note, apparently this stream has been like advertised on the Osu game itself. So, hello everyone if you're coming in. We hope you're having a good day.
Yeah, but wow, that score is crazy. That just left me like shocked. I don't even know what to say, but we'll see how this next pick goes. Wild card 2. I don't know who's picked this. Oh, I think it's Tame's pick.
Hmm. Yeah, it is Ting's pick. He protected wildcard 2 at the start, so they're gonna be throwing it out right here. But yeah, that's a successful out of Plana here, being able to make it 3-1 for now. It's really just down to Ting to try and even it out a bit so that they can push themselves into the advantage here, because time is gonna start running out from here on, and this is definitely something that neither of these players really want to face the face of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if density keeps going the way it is, that's 2 more points that Plana could potentially get.
Yeah, indeed. As we start the map off, we have some of these release-oriented parents thrown in. Gonna have some of these releases that are variable in terms of the spacing, especially as you know from Hiloto, who does have quite a bunch of history when it comes to making more modern timing hell maps, as I think pretty much everyone and their moms know.
Oh yeah, I mean, High Lotto being a staple when it comes to just Ellen in general. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this pick goes. I mean, I'm sure both of these players are pretty familiar when it just comes to High Lotto files, especially just considering that they've played in MWC as well.
Yeah, exactly. You do definitely see a lot of his content thrown into there. You know, when it's needed, as of course, to fill out slots. And so far, so good. Just going to discontinue digressing from what I was saying, going to see the map so far, it does seem like Ting has a bit of an advantage, but it's a very unsafe one at that as well. Only 2,000 points the advantage here, as Plana does take a miss. That's going to bring the score lead over to basically objectifying the side of Ting here. It's really just that Ting just has to stop missing. But as I say that, come on, bro. This Wells Clark miss. Can you stop?
Oh man, and there's still another half left. I mean, sure, we're in a break section, but it just kind of puts the intensity just a little bit, and it gives both of these players maybe a chance to kind of see how both of them are doing. They'll both see, oh wait, I'm on a miss right now, and my opponent's on a miss. One more miss could mean the end of this pick, and especially as the score starts to lower just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. This is where you're going to have to incorporate your recovery game into this as best as possible, because the minute that you miss and the other player has missed earlier as well, this basically does present that there is vulnerability on both sides of the spectrum. So it's really just down to Ting. If he wants to be able to continue getting some points to be able to tackle that with Plana, they really just need to try and ensure that they can miss as little as possible, because if we do see any more misses, then that's going to probably spell it. Even if we do see an act drop for the side of Plana, that's gonna make the misses from the side of Ting a lot less clean than it should be.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like there's enough time for it to go over to the side of Plana. But who knows? Maybe things could change. I mean, you have a lot of these shields which can just be so tricky, but it looks like Ting is going to be having the advantage when it comes to those shields. And I guess potentially something to think about within their next few picks.
Yeah, the next pick. Yeah, the next point has arrived in the favor of Ting momentum, as we can see. So 3-2 into the advantage of Plana right now. It's really just down to Ting to try and equalize things out so that he can at least get the advantage in their favor. It's really just down to the next few maps that we have, but it's now the pick of Plana here. So it's either that we're going to be seeing Dare Protect out, or we're going to be seeing it save for later, in which it was Heat Abnormal. So this one is very heavy contrast in comparison to Has Arrived, because of how a lot more technical it is and how it's just a lot more bursty in general, so to say.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I almost forgot about that when we were speaking about the picks from before. And it
Oh,
looks like
right
you're
as we
right.
say it. Right on time. That's crazy.
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I feel like maybe you would want to go for like density 3 first, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Flowerful, I don't think you've seen longest maps if you haven't, until you've seen Flevy's ranked maps, bro. I'm sorry. Like, have you ever tried playing a map that's an hour long in the ranked section? I mean, no. Most people probably play them on double time.
Or have you considered playing a 30-minute file on FFR that's a 100 and that you need to AAA?
Those exist?
Yeah, it was painful.
Why? What? Bro, out of like all the songs that FFR has permission to chart, which ones are like 30 minutes long? Are they gonna map like, I don't know, Godspeed You Black Emperor or something? Like, I doubt anyone in FFR even knows who they are. And if they are, then color me impressed, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, this is crazy stuff there. But I guess going back into this pick, Plan having, I guess, a very slight rough start with, I think, a great like at the very beginning. But thankfully, they've been able to climb their accuracy back up, and things are starting to stabilize a lot more closer.
yeah, indeed. So far, it does seem like both these players are going through this map really well. This is a map that was used in the Lost 40M iteration, and probably the final one to exist, to be honest, unless I'm proven wrong, which I'll be glad to be proven wrong. But it's going to be the full version this time around, so this makes it all the more difficult. And another nice detail, the background video is actually playing in the background. That's actually so sick to see.
Thank you, streamer. We love you.
Thank you, Rush. Please sign my autograph.
We love Rush.
Legit. First course in, both players still going through this really well. It's really just the unsafe lead from both sides that really dictate that the map is way too close to call for what it should be. As they're going past the first third, going into this course, it's really just Plana with a bit of a slight bias, eating off of some of these misjudgments from the side of Ting, but at the same time, they seem to reciprocate some of these mistakes as well.
Yeah, both of them are just getting closer and closer by the minute. I mean, you see this lead, it's only by three digits basically, which that's nothing when you really think about it. And especially with like you said, this file is pretty tricky and it's easy just to drop a lot very suddenly.
Exactly, and we can definitely see it with patterns like with sections like these, which are the pre-choruses in the song, where they just incorporate a lot of these raps that you'd probably just hear, and especially combined with Iowa's usual style of being a little more avant-garde when it comes to some of the more Vocaloid-esque songs. Like, you can really just see it, like, and really just encapsulate it within this map alone. And going into this section, this is going to be the next half of the map. This is what you haven't seen before, and this is going to be here in the semifinals bracket, making it just about hard enough so that it balance out the pool. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you said. I mean, sometimes the length is what makes up the difficulty. I mean, sure, this file is already difficult enough, but having to make it very continuous with not a lot of breaks adds that stamina factor, and it definitely adds a mental toll for both of these players, especially when you're in a tournament setting. I mean, you're hard focused on having to get the best score possible, and you need to FC, because at any point, if you miss, that could just mean the pick is over.
Exactly. We can definitely see that with how both players are still holding the FC, which is just, how are you doing this? Like, oh my goodness. The minute someone misses, I'm actually going to crap myself. I don't like the thought of that. It actually has me shivering my timbers.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, we're already in that like 800k area. There's still so much left. I mean, it could happen at any point.
Exactly. It's really just down to Plana to not miss anywhere, and they'll probably have it because we have seen Ting being able to FC, but it's really just the accuracy advantage on the side of Plana. So as long as they have that intact, then everything should be smooth sailing from here on, because they want to be able to prevent that score lead from going into the vein of Ting here. But we go into the ending, it's probably over as the difficulty is just gone.
A 992 on this. That is
Dude,
insane.
how?
That ratio.
881k? No, 881 perfects. And
Holy.
three less greats as well. Well, how?
Yeah, I understand why this was protected. That is brutal. And we still have the 2 density picks. That is a scary situation to be in for Ting.
Your arms are swole, Plana. Like, we already get it, man. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that it is 4-2 in favor of Plana. Ting down to pick once again, but options are running out as Plana is just about nearly at match point. But Ting is basically suggesting Tech 2. I mean, that's probably the only one that I had imagined animates Dump Tech to be in this one.
Oh, Tech 3. Okay. To be fair, I think this pick makes sense. As long as things don't go wrong like they did in Tech 1, then this could potentially work out for Ting, although it's going to be very scary though still, because I mean, if Plana's able to get a breakpoint, then there's the two density picks, and I think density 3 might be the strongest pick to go next.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just down to pressuring your opponent to force them into picks that's gonna be all the more less comfortable for them. And we can definitely see Plana putting that into play here, because this is a match that definitely has the potential to go to tiebreaker, since I know what both these players are made of. I know what they are both capable of. It's really just how well can they manage with it? That's the main question, really.
Yeah, but it looks like instead of Tech 3, we'll be going into Tech 2. It seems like it was a misunderstanding in just reading the stream, so I guess it could work, but I feel like I guess this and Tech 3 could be fine to go with.
Yeah, I mean, it is a map that has a lot of really less orthodox patterns, I guess, in a way. I mean, as one of the people that like mapped some bits of it, I mean, I really just did like this initial section and then the courses, so I kind of already have like an idea of how this map is, and especially with the styles of Felix and Seimitsu like incorporated into it, it really just allows for some diversity within the map to be incorporated. So it does have a lot of these graces and a lot of these bursts as well that are kind of dump oriented. So it's really just down to both players to try their best to go and wither their way through the map. As we do approach the pre-course, Ting does have the advantage, but only by a few hundred points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure both of these players are, I guess, if they are sidebeating, they have at least a little bit of knowledge of what to expect. I mean, with very well-known charters like Saimitsu, Felix, and you as well. I mean, you guys are basically staples when it comes to these tournaments, so I assume that both these players have at least a rough sense of an idea of what they're going to, especially when you mix those three names into a tech pick.
Then you burn the whole kitchen down. Like, I mean, like, literally, when you put, like, random mappers into a mixture, into, like, let's say you're making porridge, for example. You have one hot one, you have one cold one, and then you have one that's just in the middle. But at the same time, I can't really say that because, I don't know. I'm literally someone that mapped this map, but that one miss from Ting going to bring the lead over to the side of Plana, that is unfortunately going to probably be it unless Plana takes yet another miss, because I know that Plana has taken shots before in this match alone, and Ting wants to do their best to be able to prevent that match point from being put into the fray.
Yeah, it's kind of what I've been saying since like the very start. Plana is just being very consistent overall, even in their accuracies. I mean, if they're within an accuracy around the beginning, it's most likely they'll stay within that section, and Ting just falling off in that consistency section, which it just shows how important it is to stay consistent, no matter where you are, whether it be within the early game, mid game, or late game. Consistency is key.
Exactly, and this is essentially what spells the game out here in the semifinals for both these players here, as it does seem like Plana has actually been dropping their score just a bit, going through some of these intense sections, and especially that part right there, which was Seimitsu's part, going to literally bring the score down by a half the amount, bringing it down to just about under 2,000, and just varying around various places. But if a miss comes out from Plana, this could probably be it, unless Ting also reciprocates another miss just in a bit, because this is literally the map ending. This is still relatively short, only just shy of 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, the accuracy is dropping ever so slightly, but it's still within that 99.64 range. Plana's still making it strong as we're getting close to the end. He just needs to stay consistent for just a little bit, and he will be able to get this break point and bring it to match point.
Exactly, applying CPR into the pressure of Ting. That is going to be it. That is match point for Plana right here. Ting only 2 points and basically 3 points behind of the equation. The only option that Ting has right now to prevent their tournament live from ending in an instant is to try and do a reverse sweep from here on for the next 3 maps until we reach the tiebreaker. And that is going to be something that Ting definitely doesn't want going into this round, honestly. I mean, the ratio difference is really small. It's just down to the misjudgments that sets the two apart. And
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been like this like the entire match, and I don't know about you, but I think Density 2 might just be the perfect kick in the bucket.
or well, Density 2 was the perfect kick in the bucket because they did choose it out earlier.
I mean, Density 3.
Yeah. I mean, Density 3 should be a solid choice as well. There's still like a bunch of options left on the board. It's really just down to what is most favorable. But it does seem like Density 1 is going to be getting the pick instead. So that is end roll being thrown out as the curtains unfold.
I could get this pick, honestly. I mean, I think Density 3 might have been a little bit better, especially just because it's a lot more consistency based, but I'm not opposed to this pick either.
Yeah, I mean, end roll is definitely a bit of an interesting map that allows for some strategic actions to be thrown out. So, but after this map, it's really just down to like what can Ting pick after this if it does come to that, because I feel that would probably be my main question, really.
Yeah, it's so worrying. I mean, maybe Tech 3 works out, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Ting's just been really inconsistent throughout this entire match, and it's like we said, consistency is key.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, there is no telling that maybe inconsistency could actually be a bit of an advantage, because as long as, like, you know, your opponent is also inconsistent when it comes to certain categories, then it might also just be your saving grace. But at the same time, Plana is really intense of an opponent to face when it comes to these kinds of consistency demanding maps in general, especially with Enroll being quite a bit of a lengthy map in general. I mean, the map itself is like actually relatively short. It's only 2 minutes, so that's actually gonna be scary. Wait, oh my goodness.
Yeah, these actresses are so close together, but we'll have to see. I mean, we're getting into the first course. I think we might start to see maybe a few act drops coming from Ting, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, indeed. It does seem like the map throws out a lot of these really dense bursts and dumps throughout the density, and we do get some handstream enveloped in between inside of it as well. But Plana does take a bit of a shot in terms of actually not just close to a miss, as Ting has the advantage, but it's also an unsafe one as well. If Ting misses, this could probably spell it. This map is still short, only 2 minutes of length, and we are going into the final 60 seconds of it or so.
Yeah, it's just insanely trilly. I wouldn't blame either of these players for missing, but it's way too close to really say who has this point. Even as we get to the ending, it's so easy just to mess up on these, especially when you make trills embedded within LNs.
Oh, the one miss from Plana. This probably could be it unless Ting misses. Come on, it's the final stretch. Ting has to make sure they can get it, but I think the map is just about ending here. The difficulty is over.
Ooh.
Oh.
That's unfortunate. Maybe nerves getting to Plana, thinking, okay, well, I better not miss again. But it seems like that early miss was already more than enough. And that ratio in the grade count showing a little bit of weakness, but there's still room for Plana to make it out. They're not out. They're still at that match point.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just down to the next few maps, but at the same time, this is going to go into the final picks for both players involved. So this one is, I believe it's Ting's pick or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Ting just has to pick really wisely to be able to make sure they can pick out something that they can get a point off of. It's really just down to maybe something like, I don't even know. Tech Free! Tech Free gets the pick!
I was assuming so. I feel like this is kind of just like the best pick that Ting can kind of go for, although I guess it's like I said earlier, this is lengthy. This is about as lengthy as Density 3, so it has a lot of opportunity for Ting's weakness and consistency to kind of overshadow the strengths that he might have with a pick like this one. And if Plana goes for something like Density 3, that's roughly 7 minutes of having to stay consistent, which Ting's already been showing quite a bit of weakness when it comes to that. So I do worry a bit for him.
Yeah, exactly. This is the point where the nerves are going to spike up by such a good amount if Ting at least does get a point off this one, because that's going to spell to Planet that they're going to need to try their best to make sure that the tiebreaker is prevented if it does come down to their final pick before the penultimate map of the match itself. But Beast itself as a map in principle is probably one of the most scariest tech maps to go into. It's like the longest by far, nearly 4 minutes of length, and it's just dense. It's just everywhere.
Yeah, I think everyone knows this song, and if you don't, well, you're in for a show because this song gets pretty crazy, and the representation for this does not hold back at all, especially as an Ellen pick.
Yeah, it's basically like one of those things where if you don't know the map, get to know it. I mean, this is
Yeah.
literally from the late game stages of Asia Suji Cup last year. So that alone kind of already spells that this map's going to be pretty difficult to go into, and especially with this map pool in general just being really difficult, and what we've seen of the other two tech maps. This basically is just close to the difficulty that we've seen in Tech 1, but maybe a little straightforward. The only difference is that it's not a From song, so it's not IDM oriented, it's Neurofunk oriented.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of know this song, but if you don't, you'll get to know it because this song has quite some interesting moments, and there's a lot of room for so many different interpretations. I mean, at least in my head, I start to kind of think of the My Click one, the technical rice one, which is just really just unorthodox, and it kind of follows suit with this pick as well, with a lot of these like really unorthodox patterns and a lot of these shields as well.
Yeah, that one miss from Ting, he had a pretty good advantage for just a bit, but that one miss just makes it all the more closer. It's only 2-digit score differences as we do see that Dr. Maripil on the top. It's just really down to both players to try their best to do what they can to ensure that they can at least get this point in their hands, but we have seen Plana kind of show vulnerability on the map very early on. They're actually as far ahead, just behind the paradigm.
Yeah, struggling a little bit, especially like as we're kind of going on early on, but it does look like slowly, yeah, surely, Plana is starting to get that accuracy just ever so slightly. They're definitely gonna have to work on it just a little bit more, but I mean, we've seen how Ting has done within like the first half of this already. Can they make a stronger second half? That's what we have to wait and wonder.
Exactly. The second half is going to be one of the most important moments for Ting because he wants to try and ensure that he can at least get out of this match at least without having to bleed way too much, because this is where the match is going to become a lot more difficult for both these players now that lives are on the line here. And we go into the next chorus here, going to be introducing some of these more jack shield orient patterns with short lens thrown in as well. A lot of these really tight flams as well, and we see Plana still struggling on some of these as well, getting a lot of these yellow 300s and some of these greats as well, but Ting is still doing their best to try and ensure that they can reciprocate as less.
Yeah, this is where the song hits. This is where you know that things are about to go down. And Plana's just been staying in that consistent area of their accuracy. They just have to hope that Ting gets another miss or even drops a lot of accuracy. It's definitely not out of the ballpark. We see both of them are starting to struggling. None of them within that 99.90 range.
Yeah, that is definitely something that spells it, and another miss comes out for Plana. That's going to be it. Another miss from the side of Plana, as that basically objectifies this point for Ting. For the time being, the difficulty of that is basically over, and it is now just down to the final section. Just don't mess up. You just have the final few streams. You can do this, man. Just do it.
Yeah, unfortunate miss coming on the side of Plana, and it's definitely a rough start as well, which it's a bit unfortunate, but I mean, I felt like this was basically the best pick Ting could have gone for.
And with that, that is Ting's final pick done. They are just 1 point away from what would have been match point, but it's now down to Plana to make the final map pick, in which there's still just about 3 options left on the board. It's either you want to go for density, a wild card, or the wretched coordination 1 map, in which we've seen none of the coordination maps picked out because we had both bands spent on those coordination picks in general. So it would definitely be a bit of a shock to see the final map being the release orient map.
Yeah, especially if like there's potential room for a tiebreaker. I feel like these players are gonna want to go into something at least physical to keep them active. And I've been saying it over and over again, but I feel like Density 3 might just be the pick.
Yeah, it's really just these three options left on the board. The most physical option probably has to be the avenue for Plana to go, but they've said it themselves. It literally just feels like gambling at this point because we know that both these players are just good at majority of these maps. It's just which one benefits each one the best. Hmm.
Wildcard
Wildcard free.
3?
What?
I don't like this pick.
No.
I really don't like this pick.
Oh dear. Here we go. A final potential map before we see a tiebreaker. This is the make or break moment for Plana. They want to be able to try and ensure this map ends and they can seal the deal on the side of Ting. But it's really just how well can they manage with it? This is literally a Black Princess-esque map, as I see in the chat here. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like this pick. I feel like Density 3 was the best option, and it was right in their face for them. It was sticking out right there just for them, and they pick Wildcard 3. Yeah, Wildcard 3.
Yeah. Yeah, a literal sore thumb being stuck out like that, but nonetheless, I mean, this definitely has potential to go well. I mean, for one of these players at least. It's really just... Okay, we do see a bit of a client blunder from Plana.
Okay, things are getting settled in now. This is looking quite scary. I think they're about the same accuracies. No.
Oh no! Don't tell me! This is gonna be heartbreaking. We see some bias on the side of Plana, but at the same time, this is really Jack Shield oriented, so this definitely opens up for a lot of hell to break loose. That's the scary part.
Yeah, I really didn't like this pick, and I still don't, but I guess anything could happen if Ting does miss. I guess Plana still has that accuracy at least, but it's still such a scary moment.
Yeah, exactly. This is literally the point where this really sets the precedent for how the tiebreaker is going to be going, because we've seen both these players have been doing their best to try and compete, and we only see Plana just suffering on some of these releases and some of the control that is incorporated, kind of getting some of these early hits, as well as Ting is going to be capitalizing off the score lead for the time being, making it almost just about 2,000 points of the paradigm.
Yeah, it really just comes down to a miss. These players are so close, and the lead even being closer, it's so intense. But I mean, you have to imagine that something like this is a bit comfortable to hold good accuracy on, given that it is quite jacky in a sense, although mini jacks do tend to be a little bit on the harder side to hack in my opinion.
Oh, no!
Oh.
No! The miss for Plana! This is basically just objectified the lead on the side of Ting, and even if he has some of the actually... No! Oh, here we go. There's no way. Half of the map left, but if Ting doesn't miss, this might be it. Oh my god, no!
Oh, that is exactly why I did not like this pick. It just wasn't as safe as something like Density 3, or I mean, even Coordination 1 wasn't safe. I feel like Density 3 was just the best option, and you just get into this section where both of these players are able to do accuracies. Plana's able to see the brutal mistake that they potentially have done.
Exactly, and this is exactly the type of thing that really sets the two players apart. It's really just some of these really more awkward patterns where it's a lot more upbeat in terms of the song itself, but the shield patterns just make it a lot more difficult and daunting to go through, because we now see that Ting has about 10,000 points in their name going into the final quarter. It's now pointing at 10 o'clock on the timer right here. Time is running out for the side of Plana. They want to be able to try and get at least some misses from the side of Ting, but at the same time, his consistency has been shining throughout this map alone. He's still maintaining that position over the 99.8% accuracy mark, and going into the final ending, you still have a lot of these streams, a lot of the shields. It's just, time is running out.
Yeah, it looks like Plana is going to be losing this pick, losing a lot of those break point potentials. But it looks like as the song slowly cuts out, we will be going into the tiebreaker for semifinals. Both these players, their nerves have to be skyrocket high.
Bro, there is no way. Dude, it's literally the first map of the whole weekend and it's on a Friday as well. I guess this is why everyone celebrates Friday nights. I mean, well, I don't know, going drinking and all that. I mean,
Friday night.
Friday night funkin'.
God, this
Sorry.
is such a scary moment.
Yep.
I don't know who has the advantage here.
I mean, the thing is, both these players have been so good throughout this whole match that literally either of these players could just take it and run with it. But the streets have literally been saying that they can hear Leon. But the thing is, both these players have their lives in this tournament at the stake of just being eradicated off this map alone.
Yeah, and this tiebreaker as well is brutal. I mean, I played it. It's so easy just to mess up with like a lot of like the trickier patterns that are throughout this.
Exactly. It's absolutely scary stuff.
I really don't know who has the advantage of this one because I mean, you have the density picks which went in favor of Plana, but I don't really think this tiebreaker has like that many density sections to really help Plana at least.
It's really just the fact that the map itself usually incorporates a bunch of these different LN like patterns. So it's really just like, as long as there's a fair balance, then surely it should be an advantage of one of these players. But at the same time, it's just difficult to be able to discern who exactly has that better end of the stick until we at least see both these players just juke it out right here, right now.
Yeah, God, I'm scared.
Same.
Man, Density
Oh my
3 is
God.
just. I feel like Density 3 is just looking at us and just laughing at us.
Yeah, well, guess what? I'm laughing at you, Density Free. See if I care. Haha.
But here we go. We are going into our tiebreaker. This is going to be quite a spike in difficulty compared to the rest of the pool. And it's really going to set the stage for what to expect within finals. And it's also going to set the stage for who has the potential to make it to finals as well.
Indeed, both these players have been shouting in the IRC chat that they are going to lock in. So it's really just down to bring in that energy they really need, as the map does have a lot of these really odd patterns that are just thrown in to really add some fuel to the fire here. You have some of these really uncomfortable shields, but at the same time, the score is already just incredibly close going into the start, but at the same time, not much information is to be given as we do get that bit of density thrown out.
Yeah, we do get this mini density section like you pointed out, as it slowly is going to transition to a bit of a more Jack focused area. And this part I think potentially has the chance to give Plana just a little bit of a lead, not by much, but just a little bit before we get into this next section.
The score line's literally disappearing. It's just double digits. What? Dude. I'm scared.
And here we go into the Jack focus section, this very shieldy section. This is where Plana has to be very careful. We saw how the last pick went. This could be scary. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. This is a really crucial section for Plana. They want to be able to try and ensure that they can at least make it out, but they do bleed some grace from here, going out into some of these shields and then some of these anchors as well. Don't make it any easier for Plana, but at the same time, Ting is suffering, getting some of these late releases and early releases as well, on the other hand.
Yeah, I have to expect the nerves on this session as well has to be so high for Plana, but we're finally getting into a little bit of a more mixed section with a lot of these bursts coming in, a lot of these Jacks coming in, Plana getting the miss!
No! Okay, that's a very detrimental miss to go into this section with. That's the first miss. That's the first miss of the entire tiebreaker so far, and Ting is doing really well being able to ensure that they have the combo intact. But at the same time, if it does come down to Plana missing, that's probably going to be it, because this map really tanks in on your consistency.
Yeah, but Tank's accuracy dropped by so much. Plana has the accuracy advantage as we're getting past this section.
Oh wait, I didn't even realize the accuracy is just matched right here. Oh my goodness.
Plana has to hope to God that Ting gets a miss, because once that miss comes over, Plana is in the lead, still holding a near 99.7 even despite that miss.
Yeah, exactly. It's only 1,000 points in the advantage of Ting for the time being. It's a little bit of a false section right here as we get some more neuro influences incorporated in the song itself. And this is only going into the back of the chart. There's still just thousands of combos or thousands of notes to hit on the board. But at the same time, Ting just needs to miss to be able to give up that lead to Plana. Because at the same time, the patterns only just get a lot more intense from here on.
Yeah, you get a mix of these 3-note inverse sections, you get these density sections, you get these bursts, and we are slowly getting into more of these like technical sections where both these players have to be so careful, especially as we're getting into this section. It is so easy just to miss on any point of this file.
Exactly, it's way easier to miss on any of these patterns than to literally FC it, but we see Ting literally doing their best to make it out as we get into this more trap-oriented section. We get some color base thrown in as well that kind of adds to the texture of the song itself, but we see Ting still bleeding out some grace as Plana plays out another miss and respawn.
Oh, there we go! That's the miss that Plana needs. Plana just has to hope that they can keep going. No!
And another one! Okay. Oh my god, no! What are you doing? Yeah, no, this is a really heart and mouth right there. Some of these odd rhythms, and it's really just down to the calm section as well. Ting is just only ahead by a few hundred, just about 200 in terms of the combo. And we can definitely see that the map could probably just swing onto the lead of anyone here. We do see Ting actually suffering in the final quarter of this map where everything is gonna have to matter so much more.
Oh, that's the miss that's this meaning. Plana just has to hold consistency and hope that Ting gets another one, and it could be just in his favor. No!
It's just the constant curses and misses that come out here and there. That's the scary part. But even then, that's still gonna benefit Ting as he still has about 5,000 points in their name. It's really just that this is a very unsafe lead by all means, and because of how dense this map is, it really just means that the misses just matter a lot unless you have enough points or score to ensure that it's clean enough that it's not going to bring anything onto the side of the other opponent. But at the same time, the map is closing out in just a bit. There's only really just a few seconds of the map left as we get the final few density sections come thrown out, and we still have some shields thrown into the mixture. 5,000 points in the side of Ting. If a miss happens right now, it's gotta be detrimental to bring it back into the side of Plana because they've been fighting so hard this whole tournament, but it's over. The map is done.
That was so close. It's just those unfortunate misses that just came, but wow, these players did so well.
Oh my goodness. That was definitely a bit of a journey to go through. Both these players have gone so many breakpoints at the start, but Ting had managed to bring it all back as soon as Plana had reached that match point, bringing it into their favor as now Ting is going to be remaining victorious, remaining in the loser bracket to face Flowerful in the next few days. And as for Plana, unfortunately going to be knocked out. They fought well and hard. They did their best to be able to try and ensure they could get as close to victory as they could. There was only just 5,000 points that could have been in their favor.
Yeah, both of these players did so well. Holy.
But unfortunately, not the time. As much as hard as they fought.
Yeah, wow. That is an insane match. I mean, you have to get props to both of these players. I mean, Plana was able to get into that early advantage, but Ting being able to get that reverse sweep and then the tiebreaker just really being in either player's favor. It just mattered so much to hold that consistency, and I guess maybe nerves came in where the consistency flipped for both of these players.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's usually the most prevalent point of suffering that majority of the players are bound to go through. But at the same time, like, this was honestly a really hard battle for both these players. It could have definitely gone in the advantage of anyone here, but Ting ultimately going to be reigning victorious over this match. This does spell that this is exactly what we're going to be expecting of semifinals this week, with how dangerous these matches just get, as we have to eliminate more and more of the top players that we have just witnessed destroying everything, breaking the houses we see in this whole tournament alone. And we still have so many matches after this as well. We have one of the first show matches actually happening this Saturday on 0 UTC, as it seems.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see a lot of these matches, but man, I'm excited to see the rest of these matches within the bracket itself. I mean, show matches are going to be interesting. You definitely don't want to miss those ones. They could be a fun watch.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with what we've seen in this map pool, this really adds on to the factor of being able to allow for some of these really interesting matches to be played out here. So it's definitely really cool to see how both these players make do with the map pools themselves. But as for me, I think I've pretty much said all that I have to say. There's still a bunch of matches left to witness in the semifinals bracket, as we're going to have to see some more heartbreaking losses here and there. But I don't know. Do you have anything else to add on to that, Sonar?
Much more to say. I guess we'll be seeing Spanish versus Flowerful on Monday. I don't remember the time, but that will be a Monday match. And then you do have Konkawa versus Natsumari, Velos versus Stereotype, both being tomorrow, I believe. I think I saw one at 12 UTC, and I don't remember the other one. And then in the winners bracket, we do have Neptune versus J-Lai. That's going to be an interesting match. J-Lai has been doing a lot of upsets. And then Pavin versus Muka. That's going to be an interesting match.
That's going to be crazy. That's for sure. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss that.
This winners bracket is looking heated. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, J-Lai's been putting such a huge fight. I mean, making it into semifinals in the winners bracket, despite like the tough opponents he had, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see. I do hope the best of luck for all of these players.
Likewise, and yeah, I think that will pretty much do it for me. So like I mentioned, we do have all these matches waiting to unfold in the next few hours, especially throughout today, or well, no, tomorrow and then Sunday. But at the same time, we do hope y'all tune into any of them, whether you want to get into the source, because damn, these matches are going to be pretty spicy. So yeah, we hope you all tune in then, and should be safe to say we can close it off here.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Whether you are one of the Mania players or you did come from one of the banners, we hope you enjoyed your stay. Thank you, Rush, for the stream as always, and I'll be signing out. I happen to know, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye, boy.